G'day everyone. So in the last video I reassembled the bottom end and in this video I'm going to freshen up the top end and get the whole engine back together. Alright, so for homing the bore, the first thing we're going to do is just put a bit of oil into the bores. Right, then I'm going to take my hone, place it into one of the bores, and I'll just start it off on a nice slow speed and work it in and out. What I'm aiming to get is a 45-degree cross-hatch pattern on the inside of the bore. So I don't know how well this is going to show up on the video, but you can see, hopefully you can see, there's circular scratches intersecting each other at about 45 degrees in both cylinders. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is degrease the cylinders and then scrub them in warm soapy water. Alright, so your bores are clean enough when you can take a white rag and wipe it around the inside of the bore and come away with no stains. Just to give you an idea, I degreased these, scrubbed them in hot soapy water for about half an hour, dried them and then got into them with rubbing alcohol just to get them to this point. It's really important that you do because any grit left in there from these stones is going to wear away those bores real quick. So you want to make sure that they are absolutely perfectly clean. Once you've done that, you want to lubricate the inside of the bores just to make sure they're not going to rust because they've got absolutely nothing on there to protect them from oxidization now. So I've got my ring sets here. They consist of a top ring, a middle ring, and an oil control ring which has 3 parts. It's got the 2 rails and it's got the center corrugated ring. Alright, now the 2 upper rings, these are different and you can't mix them up. They've got numbers stamped on them. These are the first oversize. So they've got 25 stamped into the top of the ring. Now the top ring is beveled on both edges and that's the compression ring. The middle ring has a notch on the underside and that is the oil wiping ring, or basically its job is to scrape the excess oil off the bore on the downstroke, and that's what that little notch is for, to give it a better scraping edge. So don't mix those up. The numbers point up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the gaps. So we need to place the piston ring in the bore without the piston, obviously. And then take the piston and press it down so it's nice and square. Now the specs for these bikes are between 0.2 and 0.8 of a mil. So we'll check 0.2 and that fits in the gap. We'll check 0.8 and the gap is smaller than 0.8, so that ring's fine. Right, and you want to do that with all of the rings. Right, so now we'll fit the rings up to the pistons. Remember when we took these out, we marked them so we know which cylinder they go back in. So this one is the right hand cylinder and that's the right hand cylinder there. Right, so we'll start with the oil control ring first. Now for the middle ring, remember that's the one with the notch taken off the bottom edge. Right, numbers facing up. and now for the compression ring. Alright, so the ring gaps on the piston need to be offset from each other, evenly around the bore. So I'm just going to go 10, 2 and 6. So we've got new gudgeon pins, new O-rings, new gudgeon pin clips, a new base gasket, new head gasket. So what we'll do is we'll just lubricate the inside of these bores just with a bit of engine oil. And we'll get these O-rings on. Alright, so I've already got one on. You'll notice that I've got this rag stuffed in the top of the engine here. Earlier when I was putting the chain tensioner on, I lost a washer into the sump. Luckily I was able to shake the engine around a bit and it got caught on the magnetic sump plug. But if I hadn't have been able to get it, I would have had to pull this engine down again. So I'm going to make damn sure that nothing like that happens again. Getting the gudgeon pin clips in is a real pain in the ass, so it's very likely that you'll drop one of those into the engine if you don't do this. Alright, so I'll just get a bit of oil in the little end here and I'll oil up the gudgeon pin and the piston as well, and then I'll get it together. Alright, so I've already got the clip on one side, which is going to be the inside, and I'll just start the gudgeon pin in here. Now we'll just place it on. See if I can line up the little end. Get on there. And there we go. Right, now we'll try and get this this clip in. Right, there we go. So I know I aligned the piston rings earlier, or I misaligned the piston rings earlier, which is completely stuffed now, so we'll do that again. That's all good. Clips are definitely in well. Alright, now we can pull out the rag. Alright, so we'll get the base gasket on. It's got writing on the top, and that has to face up. So these two holes here line up with these dowels. Just feed the cam chain through. Alright, and that's that. Alright, so now I'm just going to support the bottom of the pistons on two dowels so I can fit the cylinders without sinking the pistons down into the block check the ring alignment one last time. All good. Alright, so the bores have tapers on the bottom of them, so you don't necessarily need piston ring compressors. I actually wish I had some, but I don't, so I'm just going to do it this way. Alright. See how we go here. Right, that's that ring done. This one doesn't want to do it. Right. So that's the compression rings done. Next one's down. What's that hanging up on? Bastard. Come on. There we go. It's a win. Alright, now we'll make sure we feed the cam chain back up and through. So very carefully work that down. What am I hung up on now? I say carefully and I get a hammer. There we go. Right, so next we'll fit the front cam chain guide. Their bolts have one flat washer and one copper sealing washer, so make sure those are on. Alright, so next we'll fit the head gasket. Make sure the larger holes go at the front left and the rear right. Alright, next comes the cylinder head. Get it lined up. Right, so now that the cylinder head's in place, we just want to secure it with the 3 outside bolts. We don't want to tighten them up, just put them in so it doesn't move. Just get it finger tight. Alright, so I've already lost this chain once and had to fish it out with a bit of wire. But what I've done here is I've just put a hook on either end of it. So I can hook it over here and here, and I can get the camshaft in, and then I can pull it up and join it over the top of the sprocket. Alright, so we'll make sure the engine is on top dead center, which it is. Right, here's the camshaft. The side with the thread and the little hole there goes on the right. That's for the advance weights. Alright, and that's good. Now this little slot goes in the 12 o'clock position while the engine's on top dead center. And then we'll get the chain up. Alright, so let's try not to drop this thing again. We want the front to be tight. Alright, let's go one more tooth. Alright, see how that looks. So, engine on top dead center. That looks like 12 o'clock to me. There's also a dot on the other side, which is supposed to line up with the gasket face, and it does. So that's good. Now, without losing this chain again, we've got to get these wires out and get the link, the joining link in. Alright. That's one. This is where I came unstuck last time. Two. What's the bet I drop the joining link down into the engine? And there it is. Alright, now we'll just double check everything. Alright, so we're on top dead center. This mark here is in the 12 o'clock position. If you look down in here, there's a little dot, and that should be in line with this gasket face. And it is, so we're good. Alright, so now that's all good. We'll rivet this link up. That's not going anywhere. Alright, now for the cam chain adjuster. Alright, so adjusting the cam chain, this little thing here that's protruding out past the sleeve, that wants to be level with that. I think because it's such a nice new chain, I'm actually having to loosen it off quite a bit. There we go. So some models have a lock nut here, which is actually better than this one. This one doesn't have a lock nut, it's just the cap that locks it off. Alright, so I've covered the mating surfaces on the cylinder head cover with this elastic sealant, and I'm just going to put this on now. Going to make sure that these two dowels, there's one here and one here, they're in place, and then just lower it on. Right, so there's 4 rubber backed washers, and they go on the 4 outside studs, rubber facing down. Alright, so now we're going to torque all of the head studs up in sequence. The 8 chrome nuts in the middle here, they all go to 27 foot-pounds, and the 7 bolts, there's 4 on the top here, 1 next to either spark plug hole and 1 at the rear, they all go to 15 foot-pounds. Alright, so that's the engine done. All that's left to do now is to get it back in the bike and run it in, and that's going to be in the next video. As always, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.